Hi, everybody listening. Welcome back to another episode of Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. I am Paul, and here is my superstar co host, powerhouse woman who wants to take over the whole goddamn show, Barb.
Hi.
Barb, I can't with her today. She had some technical difficulties. The energy was funky. Barb started leading the show. We're out of synchronicity. Today's a perfect day to have on our guests because we need some synchronicity in our
We
lives.
really do.
Aside from that, how was your week, mother?
I brought a bunch of stuff from Wayfair for my porch.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna buy
She's
some
glamming it.
mums. I'm gonna buy some mums and
She's
make it very
glamming it up.
festive. Yes.
Yes, with her pumpkin spice, Taylor Swift playing in the background with her flannel. Okay.
Right, with my Starbucks cup, drinking my cold brew with a nice little book. Yeah, I'm excited to get it all situated. Excited.
It's the little things in life that can really make
It
us perk up,
really
isn't it?
is.
It
It
really
really
is.
is.
You're buying all this new furniture and you're trying to move across the country. I don't know how this
I
is
know
gonna work.
because I visualize and manifest that the place that I get is going to have a little outdoor space also.
Listen, all these episodes are helping her really
I
vision
know.
put out
And
into
Wayfair was having an 80% sale, so I had to do it.
well, that I know that's for damn sure. You better get that 80% at Wayfair.
How's your week going?
Mine's good. I had a nice little conversation with my therapist the other day. So, since I've been telling everybody and yourself about how we become these movie connoisseurs because we're like milking out the AMC pass that we have, I'm like, I've had it for like a year. I probably have not used it as much as I should.
Yeah.
So, we went to the movies and Jordan, oh my gosh, with the time management, he he could be on time to work, anything that's important, but he'll be like, I mean, I can't talk to sometimes like when we were just in Disney with his family, I was really tired and I didn't want to go that early. So like, I was probably bad with time management too. We pick
I
and choose.
think we're like that. I think when it comes to work, like we're on time, we're
Oh yeah.
there.
If
But
someone
a
says you hear,
party
yeah.
or a get together, I'm like, all right, it doesn't have to. I stress to get to work on time. Do I really have to stress to get to a party or something on time? Yes, I should, but
Yeah, well,
I'm
because
just
you
a
would
little.
always yell at me when, like, a couple years ago, like, say someone invited us to a party and we'd, like, have a pregame and people would come over and stuff, and it would be like we weren't showing up till, like, an I'm like, "That's
Oh
disrespectful," like,
no,
an
I
hour
was so mad when you were like 2 hours late to a wedding or something, weren't you? It was a
Well
wedding and you guys were like 2 hours or something late. And I was like, that's unacceptable. I was,
well, so I've done better with it. If I
yes,
tell you I'm gonna be there at a certain time, like I said, work, anything
yes.
that I tell you, even a birthday party now, I'm on it. If you tell me that time, I'm gonna be there,
I
period.
agree. You have gotten much better.
Like I always say, I'll give you a
Yes,
15-minute window. 15 minutes is not late to me. If we're going on like 20, 30, then like, okay, that's a problem. So as we were getting ready to go to the movies, we were supposed to be out the house 10 minutes ago and we're still here. And I just feel it in me like shift, like I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm stressed out now because
yeah, it
one
makes
thing
you
about me,
anxious. Yeah,
I'm not the type of bitch that's gonna walk into a movie halfway when it's playing. I will not.
annoying. No,
I will
annoying.
not do that at all because then I'm pissed that I don't know what's happening. I can't follow the story, because I'm like, if I'm bitchy, like, and I feel it, it's gonna exude.
It shifts the room.
I hate when you guys say that because I really try not to. Because like, if I'm silent, I can't win, and then if I do say something, then I'm gonna regret saying it because everyone's gonna say it's bitchy, so I can't win.
No, it's okay. Like it's not that you can't win. It's just something that we feel, and that's just the way. Like that's not something you can change. Some people can hide that stuff, and some people it's like you just can't hide it.
I'd rather not say something at all, but it's so hard for me because I just feel like it's like the anxiety's right here, and I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm late. We have to get there. We have to get on time." So I start putting it on some music, and I'm like, "I'm good." I don't
Good.
necessarily agree with the way Jordan drives as opposed to my driving, but that's up for
That's a whole episode in itself. A
because I'm
whole
like,
episode.
I got
You
places to be. I don't know about
no
everybody
no.
else, but I'm not driving and just looking around at the
When people
architect.
are like this,
No one's doing that but you.
That's not true.
That's the only time we argue.
That is the only time we really argue. And now I just ask politely before I get in the car to be conscious when I'm in the car.
Girl, don't even start. I got places to be, people. I got places to be. I'm not a Sunday driver. I'm like, I want to get to point A to who wants to be in their car? Like, I just want to get to where I gotta go. Some people
Yeah, but we
you
like
go
to
by.
get there alive and unstressed.
No, no, no. But then you go by the people and they're like looking at their phone and I'm like, no, I don't want to be behind you. Like, we're in your world. Like, no, I got somewhere to be. So as we get to the parking garage of the Grove in LA, which is where we go to the movies, the
Yes.
parking structure is
Been
a shit show.
there.
Yeah, you've been there. Parking structure is a shit show.
Yeah.
And especially on the weekends, it's like
Yeah.
every level full, full, full. So now I start to feel that emotion starting to rise up a little bit. And I'm just like, oh, because we were supposed to meet somebody there. And the previews only give you 20 minutes. So I'm like, okay, we got to go now. Someone cuts us off. And oh my gosh, I can't deal with not being courteous of other people. I just really can't. Like, that bothers me. But I
Yeah.
have no control
That's
over
a
that.
maturity thing too. Like to be more conscious of other people too.
So we're like driving around and Jordan's like, why don't you get out of the car and I'll just go find parking? And I'm like, that actually might be a better bet, honestly.
Good choice. Yeah.
So then I'm like, okay, I'm in like a tizzy. I'm like, I need to just get there because like the clock's ticking. So then I like go down the steps. And as I'm going down the steps, there's a dad and his kid, a mom and her kids. They're like separate families. They're just all in the way. And I just was like, excuse me. Not one response. I'm like, excuse me. I'm like, this is the universe genuinely testing me right now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
saying slow
I said,
the
excuse me 3 times. And then at the 3rd time after they didn't move, I just did a quick like, choop, choop, like just to get through. I had to get through it. And then like I heard the mom
kid
as
rolled down the steps.
yeah. I'm taking out children as I am trying to get to a movie. And I hear the mom like halfway as I was down be like,
No,
fuck you, bitch. No, I'm just
nuh-uh.
kidding. No, I'm kidding. No.
I was gonna say, what?
No. She was like,
Because
it was
I
like
don't know. I don't know what your response would be to that.
no, she was like, oh, sorry. Like, it was so delayed. And I go, okay, I get she's a mom. She was in her own
Yes.
world. She
Yeah,
just has her
absolutely.
kids. She wasn't even all good. But like, I was such in a rush that I didn't even like acknowledge it. And then I got to my seat and Jordy finally met me there. And I said, I need to find this lady and apologize to her.
Oh, stop.
I was like, I feel bad that I didn't acknowledge, but I was like such in a rush that she acknowledged me. I told my therapist this and she's like, well, I don't think you needed to do all that. Like, it's nice that you just acknowledged it. And then that was it.
I agree. Don't tell me that you found her though.
No, I wish. You know how many
No.
people are in the Grove? I'm like, there's no
Yeah,
way I
that's
could've
what I'm
found her.
saying. Like, I thought that you were telling me, like, you're not even gonna believe this, but I thought there was like
I
a
felt
happy
bad.
I thought
You know
there
what's
was a happy ending.
no, there wasn't. If you're listening, woman at
Or
the
a
Grove,
closure. Or a
yes,
closure.
I need closure with the woman at the Grove who said sorry to me, and I was in such a rush that it was a delayed kinda how she had a delayed response of saying sorry, I had a delayed response of even like, I just heard it, and it was like
Yeah.
it echoed, and I couldn't see her anymore in the stairwell, and I just kinda like but I wish I kinda would've went back and been like, "Oh, it's okay, like, all good," like, and I just kept going, and then that's when afterwards I, like, caught myself, and I was like, I don't like that feeling of, like, that stress where it, like, makes
Yeah.
you so like, that I was like, I didn't even hear her say that I was, like, in
Right.
a zone of getting where I went. I felt like it was just so like, I was on such a mission, and I just felt it in me, like, it was like, "I have to,"
Well,
like, it
as
was, like,
much as she
urgent.
was in her own world, you were in your own world. You were focused on what you wanted to do and where you wanted to go.
Yeah, well, I was polite, and I did say excuse me a couple times, but but
But how was it said?
it was no, it was excuse me. Like,
Or
that's
was
probably
it, "Excuse me,
no, it's
excuse me"?
maybe the
Yeah.
3rd time. First time it was, excuse me." "Excuse me," and then it was like, "Excuse me," and then it was kinda like, a shimmy. But
Which
anyway,
is funny because the other day when I'm talking to you on the phone as you are going through McDonald's and you asked for your Diet Coke and
yes,
you
if
were
anybody's
very
listening, I have a Diet Coke obsession with McDonald's. McDonald's Diet Coke is undefeated. I
yes,
don't
and it's
care
been statistically not statistically, but it's been said because
scientifically.
scientifically because they use certain tanks or something like that. It's a whole thing. It's
Yeah,
not even like
the shit's
it's not
unmatched.
conspiracy, it's like a whole thing.
Yeah,
So,
shit's
Paul
unmatched. No,
goes multiple times a week, and I'm on the phone with him, of course I am, as he's going through and he's putting his order in, and he's like, "Thank you. Oh, thank you." And then he gets the Coke, they hand it to him, and he drives away, and he said, "I'm so sweet."
because she just said it with
You
such
know, they're
nice.
like, "Hold on." You're like, "Okay." You know, your whole voice, and then they said, "Okay, you can pull up. Thank you." And then you get it, and they're like, "Here you go." You're like, "Thank you very much." And you drive away without a step. You're like, "I'm so sweet."
Because Yvette at the McDonald's is always hardworking. She's always there. We're
Oh,
not
we're on first name basis. You talk about me?
and I just felt like she doesn't know my name because I don't have a name tag, but she just hands me the Diet Coke with such love and compassion, and I just receive it. So I just wanted her to say thank you. Like, she just was happy. She just had a big smile on her face. So I
Oh,
felt
she
like,
was happy to give you your Diet Coke.
yes,
But
but
it
I
was
don't
just funny, like, without skipping a beat, you were like, "I'm so sweet."
some
And of
days
course, I agree. I feel like I had a part of that,
what, doing that for me?
making you a sweet, thoughtful person, like being courteous and saying thank you and you're
Yeah,
welcome.
I agree. I
Yeah.
said I wanna combine you, which I like to believe, you with, like, a more like, how Jordan is a little bit more, like me and you are so attached to emotions, how we do
Yeah.
things, and my therapist was saying that I'm so, like, empathetic to people, which comes from you. I feel like we definitely put ourselves in other people's shoes to understand how it
Yes.
feels. Even a mother who didn't acknowledge my "excuse me" 3 times, I still felt for her, and I said I still received her sorry. I said, "I wanna combine you with, like, take a little bit of what Jordy is, where Jordy, like, stays cool and calm and collected when he's, for the most part, like, in a moment where somebody may be, like, challenging him in a situation that feels like it's
Yeah.
threatening or something." I am, like, kinda like you, where, like, when I'm upset, my voice will kinda, like, shake and, like
Yeah.
what?
No, I was thinking I'm like, "I'm cool," and then it made me you can cut this out if you want. The moment when you guys were in the movie theater and he told the guy to shut the fuck up.
So for the most part, that's why we're renting a movie theater. That's why we're no, no,
You're
no.
ready to brawl with someone because Jordy is very all about, like, watching a movie and,
No, so my point of saying I wanna be less emotional and more stern on my stance of, like, being calm. Because when you're
yes,
calm, you take back the power and the control of somebody. Like, they're not gonna if you're
yes,
reactive, then someone's gonna feed off of that. So whether someone does something that is, like, rude or pisses me off, it's, like, my reaction to it.
yes.
I.e., the instance at the movie theater, I would say maybe was not the best way to approach it. But I'm not gonna lie, that person really had it coming because the whole time in the movie just constant this was a while ago, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they just constantly were it was like they thought it was their private movie theater, and they were just gonna talk the whole time, and
Yeah.
to their friends, have the commentary. I'm like, "Girl, you are not a Rotten Tomatoes host. You are not Access Hollywood. You are not E! At the red carpet premiere. Like, we don't wanna hear your commentary anymore. We don't wanna hear it." So, it just was like the ending of it, and it just set us off. Jordy straight up checked his ass, and then the kid went back to him, and then there's a guy down at the bottom that's like, "Both of y'all shut the fuck up." And I was like, "Oh my god." So,
Again, that was a phone call after the movies to tell me all of that.
I have a big thing with movie etiquette, especially I get kind of stressed out about going to the movies because I'm like, "Oh, who in here is gonna ruin who's gonna
Yes.
talk? Who's gonna" the worst kind of person, someone who comes in after the previews while the movie's starting. They got a trail of a shit ton of people.
Crinkle with the open up the whole all the bags
Oh my
crinkling.
gosh, the popcorn. They have the light out on their phone trying to find the seats. They're telling somebody else to get out of their seats. They got the wrong seats. I'm like, "No, no, no, no. You're
I
late.
know.
You're late. You're late." I did not want to be that person.
I know. I agree.
And I just feel like there's a certain decorum when you go to a movie theater. It's a common space, and you wanna be
Okay,
respectful.
wait, I can use my saying again. Yes, you should be demure,
Okay,
respectful, right? Isn't that it?
mindful.
Mindful.
You should be yes, you should.
Yeah,
But
see?
we saw somebody had their legs up on the chair with no shoes on.
No.
The hell
People
is
do
wrong
that
with
on
you?
airplanes. Have you
The
seen
fuck
all
is
those
wrong with
videos of
you?
people doing it on airplanes?
Yes.
Yes, I would never do that.
I can get down with, like, a concert movie, like a Taylor Swift, like a Beyoncé.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, everybody's gonna wanna dance, and you know what you're getting yourself into for that. But when we have little wild robot and duckbill, and they're having a heart-to-heart moment, I don't need someone shouting out at the robot in the movie that they're like, keep it to yourself.
I agree. I agree wholeheartedly.
So with that being said, Jordy is now running a private theater for Wicked,
When?
opening weekend,
When's that?
in November.
Do I have to fly in for that?
Do you want to? It's at the Grove.
Oh, no, you have to tell me dates.
I'll tell you. But yeah, I was like, that's a great idea because guess what?
Oh my god, that's amazing idea.
You can invite all of your friends. It could be like a safe space. People are not gonna be crazy and out of pocket. Everyone's gonna like enjoy it.
As
It's gonna
long
be
as everybody doesn't think it's a party and talk still because it's all friends and wanna sit and chit chat.
well, then that's the perk of having your theater and it being your friends because you can check your friends in a nice, polite way and not letting your anxiety build up. And you can turn to them and say, respectfully, please be quiet.
Or shut the fuck up.
You could do that too. That does work wonders. It does work wonders. So we are dodging any issues moving forward. So the moral of this topic is if you don't like being in movies with people, rent your own theater. If you're feeling a little stressed out, take a beat because
Take a
guess
beat.
what?
That
You
other
don't know,
person could also be also stressed out. Yep.
or they could just be a complete asshole, but that's okay because you're not going to be that asshole. That's not who
Correct.
you are.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I'm gonna have control over that. But you know what I did see in the midst of this whole debauchery was that I looked at my phone and it said 444.
Stop.
So in that moment, I'm feeling stressed. I was like, okay, someone in the universe is sending me a sign. They're telling me to pump the brakes.
Your angels are
Exactly.
telling you something,
And in a moment of distress like that, I needed those numbers more than ever.
which is wonderful because we can ask Larissa about that today.
Barb, you just set that up so wonderfully. Yes, we
Look at me
can.
getting good at it.
You are. I
I
know, I'm
jumped right
proud of
in there.
you. I'm proud of you. We feel like there's gotta be a bigger message of it, whatever that may be. So
Yes. We
we ha
feel like it's like speaking to us.
so Larissa,
Ground
it
us.
you got something else to say? You wanna cut me off again? We got it. We got it.
Whatever.
You getting a little
Okay.
crazy now. You wanted to jump, you wanted to find the perfect transition, and now you wanna get a little crazy doing this. Hold on. Damn. She's getting a little too she's leading too much. You got a little taste of
No,
power.
it's gonna be start being called I'm calling Barb,
Yeah,
period.
I'm like, "Why am I here? Why am I here anymore? Why am I here?" So Larissa is our guest today. She's an intuitive, numerologist who has a huge following on TikTok, does this for a living, so experienced. She knows about all the angel numbers, synchronicities, divine synchronicities, and, we wanna know a little bit more about how all that stuff works. We're kinda learning, getting a little bit more insight on it would be
Yeah.
great. So before Barb starts to take over the show completely and derails it, let's welcome to the podcast.
Larissa.
Hey, there we go.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It's an honor
No,
to be here.
we appreciate it. This is like
Mm.
fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you in our initial call, this stuff is like me and my mom are so, we like to believe we know a little bit, but having you come on and be able to
Yeah.
lend your
Then we
voice and
can
echo.
really sit and say, well, we know this.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think the fact that you are having conversations about spirituality and the synchronicities and the divine connection, just as, in your everyday life is a beautiful thing. Because there was a time where you really couldn't talk about these. Maybe you were shunned from speaking about these things. I had a great aunt who was a professional numerologist 50 years ago. So this was never conversations that were weird or scary. This was just something I grew up with. But then
Yeah.
I got out in the real world and I realized everyone didn't have an Aunt Rita and didn't know what numerology was and didn't know what, spirit guides are and all this amazing stuff. So yeah, I like the fact that I can bring it to social media in a very, simple way.
Well, Larissa, for somebody who's listening, and this might be their first exposure to numerology, what is actual numerology and what is like a numerologist, like what you do?
So numerology is the study of numbers. It's the study of your birth day and your birth given name, the way it appears on your birth certificate, because everything in our world holds a vibration and letters and numbers are no different. So it is the secret language of numbers that we can use to decode what your purpose is, how you're supposed to fulfill it, what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what your talents are, and how to live. Because I get this question a lot. Well, what if I have negative things about my life path, my destiny? And we all have what I like to call lower level energy and higher level energy. It's not about eliminating this, it's about integrating it and understanding when we're living on the lower side, the lower frequency, and how to raise and evolve to the higher side, if that makes sense.
Well, I even told you kind of when we initially spoke that me and my mom, we always catch
Yeah.
1111. We started to catch 444. There's a couple girlfriends of mine who like they even catch like 1111. For somebody who's listening and kind of understanding this, like what does it mean when you
Right.
catch those angel numbers, if you will, and you
Correct.
constantly are seeing them all over?
So with numerology, the number would be the gateway into deeper conversations or decoding the messages, correct? So we have our life path numbers, we have our birthday numbers, we have our name numbers. Now we move into angel numbers. They're all connected because the number means the same wherever you see it. It just depends on the frequency or how many times it's repeating. And a lot of times people will see these angel numbers and some will see the same, some will see a wide variety of numbers. I always like to start off by saying, if you are starting to see the numbers, just know you are starting to awaken. And it's a process. So that's the first step because not everybody notices these numbers. And what are the chances? Like you're driving along, you're listening to music, it's a beautiful day outside, and you just happen to catch the license plate that says 333. There's no such thing as a coincidence. Everything is happening as it should. So when you catch that, you are becoming awakened, more intense conversations of spirituality. You're trying to find your purpose. It's putting you on a path, letting you know that you are on the path to fulfilling your purpose. And you can look up and Google, right? Every number that's available and probably get 72 different answers, which
Right.
is, which is frustrating
Right.
because you're kind of like looking at it. But what I tell everyone is it's your angel numbers. So it's a very intimate kind of personal relationship and experience. So you have to look at what's going on in your life, what you're feeling in that moment. Maybe it's a warning. You were thinking of doing something and you're kind of frozen and you don't know what to do. And that number comes in and it's warning you. But when you see it, it's your angel guides, your guardian angels. They are telling you that no matter where you're going, you're on the right path and you're protected, guided, and they're supporting you.
We see these angel numbers, they're subjective to everybody, right? Like, so if me and my mom, if she's catching 1111, I'm catching 1111. I see
Oh, that was my
444.
question.
There you go.
So when you're seeing these numbers like 1111 or 444 or 333, there's a couple of things. One, in that moment when you see it, in that moment when you recognize it, you are at the same level and the same frequency energetically as your spiritual team of light, your guardian angels, possibly departed loved ones, that because angels operate up here and they really can't come down to us. We have to ascend to them. So in those moments where you catch it, you are synced with them. So that's the first thing you need to know. And I always say, when you see that moment, just hold space for it. Just kind of take a minute and be like, everything's okay. I'm protected. There's much more going on here than I'm aware of, and I am being guided. Like, thank your angels for having your back. It's like their calling card, their little, business card. Like, oh, you have all this going on, Paul. You're so anxious. Enough. We're here. Like, pay attention to us. Turn your problems over to us. You could also do that. So let's say you're thinking about leaving your career, and this has been on your heart for some time, and you want to change jobs, and all of a sudden you start to see these numbers. Your spiritual team is asking you to develop a relationship with them. They cannot mess with your free will. They can help when you ask. So in those moments of divine synchronization, turn it over. Say, I am really struggling with this decision. Please guide me, show me, show me 444 if I should start looking for a new job. You can actually be that specific with your signs and your symbols.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you an example of how we communicate with spirit. Now, I call them my divine guides. Some people will in spiritual communities say you can go into meditation, you can get names, there's a ton of things you can do, but I just call them my divine team, my divine guide. And in this particular day, I was struggling with personal health issues going on, and I was a little upset. I was a little scared. I was a little nervous. I had some news that could go one way or another. And I turned and I said, okay, to my guides, my guardians, and I even called in my mom, who's been crossed over for 3 years now. And I said, I need a sign that I am going to be okay. And if I'm going to be okay and you guys don't want me to worry, I want to see 111. Now, the doctor's office from my house to the doctor's office is about a 20-minute drive. Okay. On the highway, I go and I'm driving, and all of a sudden the highway starts to merge into two lanes because of traffic. And I'm a little bit of a New Yorker. I have a little bit of road rage, and I might be spiritual, but I'm kind of a baddie in the car,
You're talking to, listen, I'm like, that's another episode we have to
Yeah.
talk about road rage.
We'll talk about that a different day. So I am trying to get ahead of this person who I think is slow. Okay. And they're not having it. And they got in front of me, and I get behind them. And all of a sudden I see 444. And I laugh and I chuckle. I go, ha ha, real cute, guys. That's funny. But I said 111, not close enough. And then on my mother's grave, the next car merges in. We are dead stop traffic. You have 444 in front of me, and the car that pulled right in was 1111. And we were dead stop. I was able to take a photo, which is, probably I don't recommend that, but we weren't moving. I can't even begin to tell you the level of peace that came over me.
Sure.
So in that moment, I knew whatever was going to happen, I had to go through, right? That whatever appointments or follow-ups or procedures were going to happen. But I knew in the end, I was going to be okay. And I think it's that peace of mind for me, how I use numbers and angel numbers to live my life. I really do. This is something that I eat, breathe, and sleep. I teach my children. I talk about it all the time. And I just want for the listeners out there who you're just discovering this to know that this could be a valuable tool in your life to help you. That's what it is.
I 100% agree with
I
you.
never looked at it that way. Yes, like a valuable tool. But yeah, I didn't know you could ask. Yeah.
I looked at it in terms of like, there have been times in like, my career where things weren't going the way that I wanted to, or I felt like I wasn't on the right track. And during that time is actually when I started seeing 444.
Yes.
And I remember specifically Googling it and being like, what does this mean? I keep seeing it. My boyfriend will laugh and he'll say, well, you're on your phone all the time. It comes around twice a day. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I feel it in my gut. Like there is a
Right.
reason why I could pick up my phone and see 443, but I see 444 all the time.
Correct.
And I told you over the phone that even I was out with my cousin, we were going around in Venice, and I look over and I see an address on a house, and it was 444. And it was like that pick me up that I needed, that made me feel like I'm on the right track when I get in my head and I question myself. I know that there's a greater purpose or whatever that may be that's saying, no, you're on the right track and you're being guided, and that's what you're looking out for. That's how I view it.
And that's a beautiful way to view it, because it really is letting you know that you're protected, that you're raising, your energy is actually evolving and going higher, but it's also a doorway, like a text message from your spiritual team saying, communicate with us. We're here for you. And if you really are struggling, the other thing you can do is, so let's say you see that number and you're like, okay, great, Larissa, but it's not telling me yes, and it's not telling me no, and it's not telling me if I should stay or if I should go. Use it as the text message kind of theory, like, oh, I have to message them back. Okay. So maybe that night you pull out your journal and you say, dear spirit, dear angels, dear God, whatever you are comfortable with saying, whoever you feel is guarding you, and say, this is what I'm dealing with. Help me get through this situation. I'm asking for advice or whatever it may be. And then just sit back and let it happen and follow the breadcrumbs. I don't know who coined the phrase spiritual breadcrumbs, but I know Gabby Bernstein used it in her book, The Universe Has Your Back. And she talked about how the universe does not, come down with the lightning bolt and say, go here. It's listening to that inner guidance, that calling, when you should really be making a left, but for some reason you made a right and you avoided an accident, or you actually saw that angel sign and it made you stop and somebody blew the stop sign. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's bits of divine synchronization, these moments where you stop and you pause and you follow the spiritual breadcrumbs. That's another way I like to look at it too.
For listeners who don't even know what an angel number is, who maybe don't even know, do you mind going through all the angel numbers and like
Absolutely. I can do this in my sleep. Really, let's start with 1010. So when we see 1010, the 0 in numerology is held for spirituality. And the 1 is about kind of you being a leader of that or tapping into your spiritual connection. So the 1010 is awakening to your spiritual truths and bringing spirituality into the physical world, which is kind of what this whole podcast is about right now. Right. So that's pretty cool, right? Yeah. The 1 is always about you. You're the leader, the self, the original soul. It's creative energy. It's independent energy. It's telling you to take a risk to start something new. So I guess if you're seeing 11111 like a bunch of times, it's like kind of like really flashing, like it's go time. Don't look back, jump, and the net will be, appear kind of thing. So the 1 is a brand new beginning and a rebirth of you. The 2 is about peace and harmony and communication, but it's also about slowing down and looking at the things that provide you a more balanced, harmonious life. Like, it's not just about money. How is your health? How is your fitness? How is your friendships? So it's looking at all of these things that make you you and looking at the outside factors that influence you. The 3 is a creative number. It's about speaking your truth. It's about being more creative and expressing yourself in all forms, and about community and reaching out to your family and your friends and just having that fun, carefree enjoyment, like a child almost. The 444, which you see all the time, is about being a builder and working towards a goal that you need to be dedicated to. So it's planting the seeds and nourishing those visions and those desires of your life. Nothing will happen with the 444 easily, like quickly, but it will happen over time and it will provide more value because the 4 is a legacy number. So it's about building for your future, and what you do now will have a lasting impression and will have the ripple and, be the ripple in the ripple effect. So having your podcast, your words are going to reach many, many people well after the episode airs. So I love the 444 for you. And the 5 is all about change and being more adventurous and being a change maker. It's also about being flexible and adjusting to life and communicating and kind of being in a space where it's not about getting things, but it's about improving what you already have and gaining a new sense of freedom, a new perspective. The 6, whenever you see 666, and that's a big one, because when people see 666, they think it's bad.
Right.
None of this is bad. Now, there is a negative side to each of these numbers, but it's not what you think it is. So the 666 is about self-love, self-care. It's about family, friends, responsibility to the self, and responsibility to your home. where does your soul live? Right here in the body. So if you're seeing 666 and you haven't gone, you're not eating well, you're not exercising. Yeah, I guess it could be you're living a negative side by not having proper self-care. So that would be the negative side of it.
I'm glad that you said that, because I'm like, anytime I see 666, you're looking out to see if there's a black cat running across.
Yeah.
There's a ladder you walked under. I'm like, an
Yep.
umbrella in the house. None of that.
Yeah.
So 666 for me is that is my warning sign that I've got to go back to the drawing board and really look at what I'm doing, because it might be affecting the people I love in a not so loving way, because it could have a selfish energy to it, because the 6 is all about service to the self and service to others and being nurturer and being a caregiver. So you have to ask yourself, am I caring for myself? Am I caring for my family? When I see the 666, I have to say, okay, Larissa, I check in and I say, have I been the best mother to my children lately? Have I been a good friend? Have I been a good partner to my husband? Am I going out of my way to show love to them? Because we live in a world where it's like, do you show me love? Like it's a me kind of world. So that 666 is, well, are you the agent of love? Are you giving it? So there's
That
duality in
666
numerology.
is bitch you thought. That's what the 666 is.
Yes.
It's checking
Yes.
your ass, and it's saying,
It's
hey,
checking
you
you.
gotta, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this, there's duality, right? So the 111 is asking you to be independent and take a risk. But then the opposite of that is, well, maybe you are not stepping out and taking up enough space in this world. Maybe you're being introverted. You're not being out there in the public eye or something. So you've got to look at both sides of the coin. The 7 is the truth seeker. It's all about seeking knowledge and tapping into your spiritual zone of genius. I love that one. It's learning a new skill, becoming an expert, and kind of retreating a little bit. Whenever you see 777, it's asking you to tap into nature, to go within for the answers and stop looking for outside validation to, tell you that you're worthy of love and abundance and all that stuff. And then we move into the 8, which is all things material, financial, wealth, abundance, prosperity. It's like being a CEO of your life. It's about being a boss and taking back your power. Okay, that's like my favorite one. But it's also about understanding that to truly be powerful, you have to understand that whatever's going on inside is being revealed on the outside. So make sure your world is matching, because a lot of people act one way and they live a whole nother way behind closed doors.
We've seen it. We've seen
It could also
Yeah.
be a financial warning or asking you, it's about money and power and wealth, and it's about abundance and blessings in other ways. So if you're seeing the 888, it might be a good time to step into a practice of gratitude. And then we go into the 9s. Now the 9s gets a really bad rap. For some reason, people are afraid of the 9 in numerology because the 9 signifies an ending, that there's a form of completion or a loss or some form of kind of, I don't want to say the word death, but one thing has to end so that a new thing can begin. But there's a lot of beauty in that, because that really is about transformation. So the 9 is about transforming and reaching more people and giving back to society or improving society in some way. I just saw 999 a couple times this week. And I've been thinking about writing a book. Well, maybe that's my answer, that I can reach more people with this book or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to be bad. A pregnancy has to come to an end so that a beautiful life can be born. So don't always think it's bad. And there's one that people don't actually ever mention, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I would love to know if you've ever seen that, or if any of your listeners do, and pay attention to it, because you will see
I
it
was gonna
after this.
I've been seeing, I catch that sometimes, and I was like, damn, is that an angel number, or am I just lucky?
It
Like, what is that?
is.
Because it just feels like a random, like, one, two. I've caught it a couple times, and
It
I've shouted
is.
it out when I've seen it.
So when you see that one, that's a good one, because think about what it's showing you. 1, 2, 3, 4, that there's necessary steps to completing the task and going on to the next chapter. So a lot of times we're always wanting to be 5 steps ahead, and that number, slow down, go back to the details and follow the path and follow the steps Everything will happen in its time and its order. And that's the whole point of spirituality, is trusting in divine timing. But that also doesn't mean we do nothing. Okay. Because we're not just going to sit back and say, well, I want a Porsche in my driveway and I'm going to manifest this. Well,
Right.
that's not going to work.
Yeah, you got to put in the work a little bit.
That's
not
not
gonna work.
reality.
That's not
Right.
reality. What we like to say is, ask yourself, am I taking divine, inspired action that aligns to who I'm trying to become? So if you want to be a writer, ask yourself, are you writing daily? If you want to be a numerologist, are you studying numerology? When I started this journey, I had absolutely no followers. I had no clients. The only people that I did charts for were like my besties and, my family. And at some point, they're getting sick of me. And I really started on social media because I needed to do this work. And I remember very clearly making this exchange with my divine team saying, I will do this work. I will speak about spirituality, numerology, the laws of the universe, ascending, higher consciousness, manifestation every single day in exchange for being able to do this work and provide value in society. And I literally live by that. So, of course, I'm having success because I am taking daily inspired action that's aligned to the goal. So, anybody that's listening, yeah, the angel numbers are great, but
Right.
that's your signal to align your truth and your goals to your spiritual partners and do this daily. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Totally. That absolutely does make sense. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you see signs, you can't just sit back and think, hey, it's going to happen. You need to,
Right.
Correct.
Just because, right.
it's guiding you, saying, hey, this is your path if you follow this, but you need to put in the work to do that. That's how I perceive it.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Because we have free will, right? And free will cannot be taken away. So you always have choices.
Angel numbers, people can have more than one angel number.
Of course. Yes. And when you see multiple angel numbers, that's when you know something really good is about to pop off.
Okay, great.
I'm going to be so vigilant now. Look.
Yeah, I know, right?
And is that you can't be vigilant like that to look, right? It just has to be very natural.
Well, yes, but don't take light of it. So let's say you're driving and in a matter of 15 minutes, you saw 6. That's amazing. Some people don't see any and you saw 6. So it's not that, something bad will happen or something great will happen. It's really about your energy. I want you to think of it as spirit is trying to speak to all of us, millions of people at one time. Why do you see it and the person next to you doesn't? It's because your light is turned on. And spirit is like, she's ready for this. She's open to this. He's excited for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's how I feel it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's strong. It's powerful. It's like a sign
It's
that
powerful.
only you are seeing in that moment, and it's meant
Right.
for you, nobody else.
So what I teach my students is don't cut it off. Don't cut it off. Don't just dismiss it. Honor it. Thank them for it and be like, okay, what am I to do next? Let that conversation keep going. I talk to my angels all the time. I wanted to ask if I can give you a little clue into just becoming aware of what your angel number might be.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay. So there's 2 ways you can do this. One, you can calculate your life path, which is adding your birth month, your birthday, and your birth year to a single digit. You keep adding and reducing down until you get a number between 1 and 9, unless it's a master number of 11, 22, or 33. So those are your life paths. And there's online, you can use calculators and figure that out. But the other way is the day of birth. So let's say you're born on the 1st. Well, 111 would be your angel number. Or let's say you're born on the 14th. Well, that's in numerology, it's not a 14, it's a 1 plus 4, which becomes a 5 because we've got to reduce it all down.
What if you're born on the 22nd?
So if you're born on the 22nd, that's a double 1 because the 2 is a master number. So you would be 222 and 444 because the 2 plus 2 is 4. So you could use your birthday as your calling card to do your angel numbers as well.
Wait, so her number is 444?
Yeah.
Wow, Mom.
Yeah, because she's born on the 22nd, which is a 22-4. So you got to look at both parts.
What's the
What's your
17th?
birthday?
It's
So
September
you're an
17th.
8, 888. So
What
that
month?
would be your actual date of birth. You can use as like, okay, I'm born on the 1st, 111. That's my energy. Because the date of birth is talks about your special talents and how the world sees you. So Paul, the world sees you as a leader. They sees you as an entrepreneur and someone who is here to bridge the material world and the spiritual world, to lead others to their abundance and their prosperity. That 8 is all about power and empowering others. And look what you're doing.
So what's 444?
Well, 444 is security, it's structure, it's stability, it's building, and it's working and being a hard worker in the sense of like you build um, for the masses to feel safe and secure in. And look at the family you've built. And
Aw,
look how
yeah.
amazing you have such a beautiful relationship with your son. You know, my mother, this is the conversations I would have with her. So I love that you're doing this. And I
Oh,
think
thank
it's just
you.
beautiful. It's just a great
Oh, thank you, Larissa. That's sweet
concept.
of you.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
very sweet because
Yeah.
like that's nice that it resonates like that
Yeah.
with you. Like I hope it
Yeah.
does that with a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I honestly feel like what you said about my mom and that to me felt very like I was like, my mom is very like she's built a family. She's like the glue that holds everybody together, like that very
Yeah.
much tracks.
See, and now we go on with the year 8 that we talked about, right? So in numerology, you're going to have personal energy and you're going to have universal energy. And the universal energy is the energy that affects all of us. So 2024 is an 8 universal year. And the way that we get that is we add it to a single digit. So it's 2 plus 2 plus 4, which is an 8. And the
Mhm.
year 8 is becoming the leader of your life. And, you know, it's a financial building year or a financial destruction year. It's about risk or it's about, getting rewarded. And the 8 is the sign of infinite potential, but it's also the year of being limited. It's one or the other. And the 8 is about revealing what's on the inside to the outside. So the truths must be exposed. And if you are not living a life of honor, or if you're doing things behind closed doors that are not okay, it will come out in a year 8 because the year 8 is about karmic healing. It's about balance and identifying your truth and showing it to the world. The financial energy of the 8, it's about building a better legacy. So this would have been a great year, and it still is because we still have time to get your legalities in order, your wills, your documents, your stock options, your 401ks, your retirement, anything that has to do with financial education, literacy, and wealth building, wealth planning. This is the year to do it.
That's so funny that you say that because
I was just gonna say, Barb's been on like
how stressed have I been about doing that? And literally on my birthday this year, we were driving, and for some reason, I started talking to them about my will and what happens and what I had. So that's
Yeah.
very weird. And then I just started to I went to a financial advisor, and yeah, that's very
Well, so this is where you have to just pat yourself on the back because you're very intuitive. And without even knowing it, you are listening to that inner calling that's governing you. That energy is all around us, but you're able to pick up on it and you're like, no, I have to do this. Because
Yeah.
this is a year that if we align to the theme of financial improvement, financial planning, it's also about empowering ourselves. So if you are at a job and you're not being appreciated or you are not being respected, you cannot stay this year because the 8 demands that you are a respected individual and that you're bettering yourself. So something has to be improved this year. But here's the thing. You're not in a year 8 just yet. So the universe is in a year 8, but you said you're born, when are you born?
we'll cut out the year,
Yeah,
but
yeah. No, I just the month, just the month, just the month.
May 5/22.
5/22, right?
Mhm.
So you are in okay, this is interesting because you're in a personal year of an 8 as well. So what happens is that's why you can't escape it this year. So I'm in a personal year of a 4 under the 8. So I have 2 numbers that are kind of offsetting that. but you're feeling this so strongly because you're in a personal year of an 8 under the 8. And it's like you can't escape it. It's kind of like you're being sandwiched. So
100%.
right. So, and Paul might be feeling something totally different because his personal energy, and as a classroom teacher, I like to think of it like this. The universal energy is the kind of like the objective of the day. And then the personal energy is the specific tasks that you have to do. And yours are the same. Yours are the same. So this is your year to either improve your current financial situation and job and career, or to change it.
Wow.
Boom. That's it.
Boom. Yeah.
Done.
I mean, like, have been my thoughts, and it really was, I don't know if it makes any, but it has been since May of my birthday this year. It just has been
Well,
like,
do you want to know why? Because the height
yes.
of the energy is always on or around our birthday.
Oh my, yes. Since
Yeah.
my birthday, I have been like this. Yes. Felt sandwiched. Yes. Very
And
much
if you
so.
felt like any type of real estate, any type of long-term investments would be really good for you.
Larissa, what would my birthday is the 17th of September. I'm curious now just because I'm like, girl, I need all the good energy I can get. So I'm like,
Well, that's so interesting because you're a 9 and an 8. So you're born on the 17th, which is an 8, and you're in the 9th month. So what is that? That's a 17, is it not? Which is an 8 again. Okay. So guess what? You and your mom are the same. You're in the same cycles and patterns. Isn't that amazing?
wait,
That is
maybe
amazing because we really
we kind of
are.
are.
Yeah.
That's why we were like, every time, like 1 week I'll call her in rotation about, I'm like, oh my God, I'm down or I'm feeling this way. She'll call me. She did the other day and talking about something. So I'm like, I always kind of felt like our lives are very parallel.
The 8 is kind of like the power year. Okay. So there's a couple years in numerology. Every year has its strength. But if you were to ask my opinion, what are the 2 most powerful years of risk and reward and leadership and creativity and kind of just financial gains? It's a 1 and an 8. So, and we move in 9-year cycles. So
Mhm.
both of you are in an 8 personal year under the 8 universal year, and you'll be doing the same. Next year, you'll be a 9 under a 9. So for some reason, the way your birthday is, you guys are always going to have the same universal and personal year energy, which just means it's not better or worse. It just means you can't escape the lessons of that number. You can't
Wow.
escape it. There's nothing to offset it. So it's like you have to master it. And the 8 is demanding that you become the CEO of your life and look at your life as a business and make sure you have the right team and the right support. And like I said, the right techs, the accountant, the planner, everybody, the content creator, the editor, or whatever it may be. It's about building your financial powerhouse.
The content creator and editor you're looking at right here.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Again, I just show up and I have troubles doing that, but
Yeah, I know. It's not as easy as it looks. You might want to start preparing for growth because a true business CEO leader would prepare for that. Because if this blows up and you're doing well, and now you have a merch line or all these things, there's too many moving parts. Because
Yeah.
what happens is in 2025, you have the ability to take what you perfected, what you're a leader of, what you're the facilitator of, to go global, because then it goes into like a higher energy where it's reaching more and more people. So you want to think like that. You want to think, well, in a year from now, I'm going to be so busy. So start just planting those seeds.
Well, let me ask you, closing out the October, we're kind of headed crazy enough to the end of the year already.
Yeah.
How should people start to try to unwind this year, and what should they be doing that kind of aligns to who they are, what they're trying to do, and what the universe is kind of signaling for them?
So everybody listening, the October month is represented by the 10, but what we do is then we take that 10, which is really a 1, and we add it to the 2024 year, which is the 8. So that gives us a 9 universal energy month. And the 9 is all about letting go of these ideas or limitations or kind of an identity of who you think you are. And it's also letting go of things that no longer serve us. It's a healing month. It's a closing month. It's a forgiveness month where you need to offer yourself forgiveness. Maybe you had a goal that you thought you would have achieved by now, and now you're feeling kind of down about that. It's time to say goodbye to the old, do a clearing. So I would tell everybody to clear out the clutter of their physical world, because it will actually clear out the clutter of your energetic world and make room for something new. What happens is the way that you've been building and growing for the last 10 months was wonderful. It served its purpose. But now there has to be a transformation in the month of October, because you cannot keep going on like this. And something has to evolve, expand, grow, mature, and something has to be removed. So maybe it's time to do a social media audit and let go of all of this stuff that is just consuming you and blocking you and making you feel like you're less than. Maybe it's time to look at the relationships and see, is it toxic? Is it healthy? What do I got to do here? How do I improve it? So there has to be a change here. And then November would be a brand new rebirth of you. Great time for you to launch something new, new opportunities, new connections, new conversations. It's a new way of doing your life, new habits. That's what I would tell everybody who's listening.
Yeah, no, I mean, I like that. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of a let go of the baggage. You're going into a new year, and it's kind of like a transitional period for many people, which, I think a lot of people look forward to. They're like, geez, get me through this year. I want 2025. I just want to start fresh. I want something new,
Yeah.
So it's kind of nice to have some of that feel like corroborated by what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is whenever we go into the month, there's always an opportunity with the moons. If you're into astrology, the new moon will always be a time for setting intentions for new manifestations. And the full moon is the time where you release what's holding you back and not working in your life. So you can use the energy of the moons to help you as well.
I'm like, can you plan out my life for me?
I will. I would love it.
That's kind of how I feel too. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're giving me all the answers that I've been looking for in evaluation.
Well, because we had like so many things, like one of my goals is like to move out to California. And so it's like all these things you're saying, I'm like, oh my gosh. And I ask every day, like one of my things is like, just guide me, like make sure I'm making the right decisions. And this,
Correct.
like, that's my whole thing every morning kind of thing. So,
Well, I think that's beautiful. And I think that the whole point of this conversation for the last hour is that we are being divinely guided and protected. And it's nice to know that we don't have to go it alone. So everything that we talked about, even the angel numbers, is a moment in time where you need to remember that. You need to remember that you don't have to go it alone, that you have an entire team of guardians wanting you to have these beautiful experiences.
For people that are kind of like me, that are like, okay, this year started off a little bit, and like, everybody's like always trying to be like, I'm hopeful for 2025. This is going to be the year. What can you say to people in terms of like angel numbers or like numerology of 2025? Are we looking for a good year?
So I want you to think of it like this. October is kind of a reflection of your 2025 on a universal energy. And November would be kind of like the brand new beginning. So I want you to look at November as your January 1, your new year, because whatever you start in November will have longevity in all of 2025. It will carry over. And 2025 is where we are coming to a karmic close. We are ending a 9-year cycle. We're going into a 9 universal energy. And that means one system is coming to an end, and there'll be a whole rebirth of a brand new system on a global scale. And that our society is changing and that we are changing, we're evolving. And my advice is don't fight it. Look how you can change personally, how you can evolve personally, and that will affect your life. And you will have a beautiful life in 2025 because you're listening to that energy of expansion, because the 9 is about transformation and healing. And if you wanted to even go further, that's a perfect year for doing deep healing, where you can go into meditation practices or learning about spirituality or trauma therapy or recovering from these wounds that you've kind of held on to for the last 9 years.
So November is kind of like our new year.
Yeah, it is, because it's a year, it's a month of a universal 1. So I want you to practice. Use November as like your practice for 2025,
No, I love that, because everybody's always running to the gyms on January 1st. They always have these overextending lists that are overwhelming. And it's like, start November. Like, that's your New Year's.
November is your brand new beginning. And if you really want to maximize the power and theme of November, start one new thing. Just do something that's new for you, and you will see that carry over in all of 2025.
Oh, I love that.
Larissa, thanks so much for joining us and giving.
Yeah,
I'm like, I could
thank
keep, like,
you.
I don't even want to let you go because I'm like,
I
oh my gosh,
know.
girl, I still have so much to ask you.
Larissa, where can everybody find you on your social medias and everything?
So on social media, I'm known as Goddess Giving. And if you want, you can go to my website at thegoddessgiving.com.
Truly talented at what you do, and we appreciate you lending your voice and coming on today.
I hope your listeners enjoy it. And the next time you guys see the angel numbers, I hope you now have a little bit more information of what to do and how to, like, interpret it.
Yes,
Yeah, and my
definitely.
boyfriend, I can check his ass and be like, no, Larissa
yeah.
said that I'm seeing it for this reason.
Well, listen, if you ever want me back on the show, I'll just message
my
me. You
goodness,
have my
I love it.
number, and
Yes.
you'll be happy to do it. So you guys are wonderful. So thank you so much
Thank you,
for having me.
Larissa.
Thank you. Thank
All right,
you.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All right,
See you
bye.
soon. Bye.
Oh, I love her.
What a doll.
What a doll.
I'm just happy this episode worked out because let me tell you, the landscapers were here today. Barb couldn't get into the chat room to do this. Someone was fighting in my apartment. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? I'm trying to be at peace, listening to Larissa.
I know, but
I
have to say, like, out here, right outside my window is very quiet and calm. A demure.
You were holding on to that one. You've been waiting to use that. You've been waiting to use that one. Oh my God.
I know, I really have.
That was actually a great way to use it. I'm proud of you. You're about
Thank you.
2 months too late now, but we used it.
I got it.
You did get it. You got it in there. Well, thank you everybody for listening to another episode of Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom podcast. As always, the support, the sharing, the loving, the subscribing, the liking, we're going to go through it one more time for y'all because we need to keep building this bad boy up. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok at Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hold On, I'm Calling My Mom. Email us at holdonimcallingmymom@gmail.com.
Especially since Larissa said we need some merch. This is our time.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, merch.
I was like, yeah, that's podcast.
Ching, ching.
Okay, money sign.
Well, I have to look at my financial.
I was gonna say Barb needs us to build the merch so she can start putting that into her 401k, like Larissa said.
Yeah, retirement. I would like to come nicely.
You got to start thinking about your future.
I really do.
Well, just keep on sharing this, everybody. Post it on your socials. Send it to a friend. Send it to your mom, your dad, a loved one in your family. Maybe they need to hear this. Maybe they're so not open to any of the stuff and you like it. And maybe just having them tap in and dive into this a little bit can enlighten them.
You never know. Maybe they do like see numbers, but they just don't want to talk about it or something, Exactly. You never know.
I agree. So keep on sharing, loving, supporting. We appreciate it so much. We will see you guys next Monday, as always. Barb, take it away.
All right. I'm hanging up now. Bye.
You almost took out the mic.
I know.
What the hell? Girl, we gotta get you out of here. See you next week, everyone.
Bye.